significant about everything. Does that sound presumptuous? Almost does, doesn't it? We could just take an hour right now and you could stand up and say anything you wanted. Just pick anything. Open the dictionary. Flop. And pick out a word and tell me, talk about it. I could talk about it. I mean, even if I didn't know what it meant, I could talk about it. Because I could talk about my ignorance. I could talk about the word and maybe it reminds me of another word. When God relates to everything, and you bring everything in relationship to God, everything relates to everything. And that's the glory of the sovereignty of God. You know, when people think about Calvinism, they think, 5 points. And number 5 is a real problem. When I think about Calvinism, I think mainly about the supremacy of God to God. And then the supremacy of God in the world. And the supremacy of God in the church, and in the soul, and in eternity. And when that's the dominant thing in your life, everything relates to everything. And then you preach interesting. I mean, you open a text and say, oh, what can I say about that? I mean, when I look at a text, my big problem every Saturday is what not to say. What should I leave out this Sunday? I mean, the connections in the Bible of every verse to every verse, and every verse to my wife and my children in this church, and the poor, and homosexuality, and divorce, everything relates to everything, and people love it. People want coherence. People love to see things brought together, because that's the way it is. That's reality. You're putting people in touch with reality. Number 8 or whatever it is here. Is the pain of criticism. He was bitterly criticized by his own colleagues. Names were used of Machen. And my denomination, Baptist General Conference, is a non-combative, irenic denomination to a fault, I believe, although I chose it largely for that reason. I don't want to be a pugilist, but I don't want to put such a premium on being irenic that you become an indifferentist. That's the danger. But I lost my train of thought here. Oh, that kind of person doesn't like to be criticized. And therefore they don't like to say anything that's going to ruffle feathers, because that hurts. It hurts to be criticized. One criticism at that door after I preach will not compensate for 10 compliments. I said that backwards. 10 compliments won't compensate for one criticism. My emotional makeup, boom, I'm on the floor. Criticism takes 20, 30, 40 compliments to get me off the floor again. That's the way we're structured. Therefore, people won't do it. They think that they can become so kind, so loving, so meek, so soft-spoken, so us, that they won't get criticized. You know, it won't work. I read in First Things, Germaine Greer called Mother Teresa a religious imperialist. At my convent school, she said, the pious nuns who always spoke softly and inclined their heads with small, patient smiles were ones to fear. They became the Mother Superiors. Mother Teresa is not content with running a convent. She runs an order of Mother Teresa clones, which operates worldwide. In anyone less holy, this would be seen as an obscene ego trip. Mother Teresa epitomizes for me the blinkered charitableness upon which we pride ourselves and for which we expect reward in this world and the next. There's very little on earth that I hate more than that. Well, I mean, if Mother Teresa's going to get it, forget it, guys. You just forget it. You're going to get it. And therefore, we just have to go ahead and say it like it is. I have one more, but it's too long, so I'm going to stop. I think if you want to ask a question about it, you can. I'll tell you what it is. Namely, preparing pre-evangelism, preparing culture to receive the gospel. But it's my cutting edge. I don't know if I agree with it, but I'm going to stop here and let you ask questions. And you can ask about anything under the sun for the next 15 or 20 minutes. Dan. With the extent in PCUSA I don't think the BGC is in anywhere near the trouble they were at that time. The vote last summer out in Colorado Springs on the resolution concerning ministering to homosexuals was, to me, a great signal of faithfulness. For those of you who don't know, there's about 900 people there, and a motion was brought to the floor to, I think, express a compassionate and yet full of conviction statement about homosexuality, and passed with 2 dissenting votes out of 900 people. That's unheard of, I think, today. So I feel encouraged at the grassroots as to there. I have less encouragement about the college, although I believe it's in the hands of very strong and committed evangelical non-indifferentists. And I just think we need to be prayerful and supportive. We had a Bethel Sunday last Sunday, and I held up programs. I called the people to support and pray, and had a Bethel prof preach. And I don't want to be quick to jump ship on an institution. That's the biggest struggle I have. Did Machen jump ship at the right time with Princeton? Did he do right? Voss didn't go, Armstrong didn't go, and others stayed. I don't know what to say about the wider. We got PCUSA people here, and they're far better equipped to say. I think that church is a lost cause, as far as I can tell. But that's a philosophy of separatism that is very unrepresentative of a lot of evangelicals. I mean, I have precious friends who believe they're going to stay there. They're going to fight from the inside. That's obviously where Ben is, I presume, and others. But they had the General Assembly here in the Twin Cities a couple of years ago, and oh man, it's really hard. We have become so callous to the wild-eyed things that mainline Protestants say today that I don't even know if we could judge the way Machen would judge about the time of leaving. John? That definition, because we have a gay church of the Lakes, who would agree with your definition of evangelicalism. And the definition, we are people who define ourselves by the gospel of Jesus Christ, is inadequate to make any distinctions today in view of the abuse of language, I think. I mean, those words, gospel of Jesus Christ, are words that virtually every professing Christian of every liberal and modernist stripe would agree with. So I don't think Oz meant, he meant that would be the sentence in the covenant. You're going to have to respond to this tonight. But if Oz meant that we can gather an evangelical rallying point with that sentence, I need more help to agree with that, because I don't know of any liberals and modernists and people who have forsaken the lifestyle of the Bible who would not agree with that. So, the Westminster Confession of Faith. That's too simple. In this book, I should put my hands right on it. Here it is. He won't argue over people who disagree with him on the timing of the Lord's return. He doesn't want to fight over the mode and efficacy of the sacraments. He does not want to fight over the nature of the Christian ministry, Congregationalism versus Episcopalianism versus Presbyterianism. He does not want to fight Arminianism, mainly. That's list number 4. And he does not want to fight Rome, mainly. He said, the gulf is indeed profound between us and Rome, but profound as it is, it seems almost trifling. It seems almost trifling compared to the abyss which stands between us and many ministers of our own church. The Church of Rome may represent a perversion of the Christian religion, but naturalistic liberalism is not Christianity at all. So his breadth was very broad in whom he was willing to call brother. But he would use words like defective or perverted. See, my guess is half of you